This is Joe, and you're listening to the Oh Gatekeeper podcast, where every week I'll be talking to my people about what gets them up in the morning, what their purpose is, and why they make things. Hopefully, it will inspire you to do the same. Thank you. You can get episodes early and without advertisements over at ohgatekeeper.com, as well as weekly bonus episodes, playlists, and my Joe and Friends series. Enjoy. This week, we have my brother in Christ, Laurie from SoftPlay. He plays guitar and he plays it hard, but he pretends to be soft and play softly for you.
Do you know what? Do you know what? Right? Let me just, Laurie, did you ever in your life think, do you know what this car needs? Automatic doors. I'm sick and tired of opening these doors myself. I fucking cannot close this door myself. I need automatic doors. You never thought that in your life, did you?
Well, so like convenience is ruining community because what you just described is we'll get to a place where we don't converse with strangers because of health and safety. And then convenience is destroying our bodies because they invent things out of sometimes necessity. So you'll have these new cars have the rear view mirrors as screens in the dashboard. So what that means is that we're now not going to use our neck muscles to turn around. So eventually we're just going to be like stiff because convenience is destroying the need for us to do anything, in turn destroying community. So basically, yeah, technology is fucked. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, yeah. Um, could you imagine like a podcast with me and you weren't allowed to swear? Be mad, wouldn't it?
So how did the boxing go once you got in the gym? Was it fine?
It's amazing, yeah, because obviously, because you like, as you know, Willie used to box proper. Um, so his nose was all skewed. So to help him sing, he sorted his nose out. He had like surgery on his cartilage or something. So we like body spar, which I'm very grateful for because he's good.
Yeah.
Um, but it's weird getting back into it because I was doing it for like 4 or 5 years, and then I stopped because of touring. And going back, you're rubbish again. And I quite like that because it means I've got something to work towards. But I love being in a boxing gym with someone like who's just keen to exercise and get it done and like work hard. Like I came back recently from LA for the Grammys and we did this like charity fundraiser with Kenny Beats and his friends and manager and that who own a bar. And everyone there was just so motivated and doing loads of cool shit for like charity and like organizing stuff and helping each other out, getting each other's careers going, and everyone's art and music is on fire because they're pushing each other.
Like the
And like
group consciousness.
I just came back like what I just want to be surrounded by people that want who have purpose in the morning. They get up like, what are you doing? Let's do something. Not just exercise, like fucking like fine, whatever. Exercise is good for you, and we all know how great it makes you feel. But like this is what this podcast is really about. It's like creative language and being fucking like having a purpose in the morning. Like people don't understand how amazing it is. Like when I get it more when I finish a painting. You must get this where like you just have this like you're almost like gurning. You're like
Yeah, yeah.
you're vibrating with energy because you're like, fuck, I've done it, you know? And I get like obviously get it with songs.
That's the really interesting thing and the distinction between purpose and ambition. And I became quite cynical and like jaded for whatever reason at the end of our last tour. And I spoke to you about it on the phone, and I was like, what the fuck is the point of this? Like getting into these rooms, these hollow buildings. And I really struggled with the scope of what we were doing. I was like, it's not real. I was like, I'm not talking to anyone, I'm not seeing anyone. I turn up and I do this thing and it feels so disconnected. And then I realized I was looking at it completely wrong and that the vessel of the sounds and what we give to people in that moment, that is the beauty and the transference of music as energy and how much it makes people feel.
Mm,
And I saw Jordan Stevens, is it Stevenson from Rizzle Kicks, talking about purpose versus ambition.
mm,
And I was like struggling with the idea of the ambition side. I was like, I actually just want to go and live in the woods, but there's a little boy in me that always wanted to play the guitar and make music. How do I serve both those purposes? And
mm,
the purpose is getting up to make the music. It's not about having a swimming pool and a Ferrari. It's about the passion to actually create. And in the last few months, actually honing in on the purpose, whether it's today I'm going to get up and do a painting or today I'm going to go and plant some seeds, having that creative act is the best bit.
mm,
Uh, and also just doing it for the sake of doing it. I think so much in my life I've got completely crushed by self-doubt because I've never even finished the song, let alone got to a point of putting it out. Like the
mm,
journey you go on from starting a piece of music to where you are now is huge. And there are so many roots you laid before anyone even heard of you. And
mm,
that's a bit of a journey I'm going on at the moment with like writing songs and being more creative. And just because people know me for one thing now doesn't mean I need to give up on all the other creative pursuits and starting at the bottom. And then you go back to the gym and I do jujitsu and you're a white belt getting smothered by like a 40-year-old dad of three with no way out, and it's that beautiful cycle. And I guess for me it's circling back to Joy as an act of resistance, and that album just highlighting the need for community. And that's what I'm looking for in my life right now, bringing my friends closer, finding spaces where community still exists and trying to nurture that, because we're the work they're trying to move us further and further apart from each other and separate us all. That's where
mm.
I'm at.
I find that so interesting. Like me and you, always on a similar like mindset. We've had this before when you're like, because at the moment, like, the album that we're doing at the moment is all based around a sense of community. Um, I'll tell you about it off camera or whatever. But like, I just got to a point after touring where I was like, I need to get back to a place where I feel like I'm rallying the troops a bit. And I don't mean like in like amassing, I mean my people, my mates and like write songs where I'm like, I'm not that I ever push people away, but I really realize how much I need love and warmth and conversation and like I'm not like I'm not someone like I'm not a lone wolf. Like I need people, and I work better in groups. I like go. I wouldn't go to the boxing gym on my own, just because I wouldn't enjoy it. I'd rather go out on a bike ride on my own. But I don't really like going on a bike ride on my own. I'm just someone who processes shit on their own. I have to put. I'm like half introvert, half extrovert. But that half that's introverted is like just go through some of the stuff, shit in my head though. I need to. But then going out there and like making stuff and all that, unless it's painting, I was really worried about where this album's at a point when we come back from the studio. We was there for I was there for 2.5 weeks. And like I come back and I just felt like there's something missing from the album. And I was really scared to tell Bo because Bo's flat out now with his kids and doing other stuff. And Kenny's in LA, Nigel's in London, and the boys are off in Hamburg and fucking wherever. And we're about to get started on another project. So I was like, this ain't right. The album's not done. But I like at the time it was scary because I was alone. As soon as I spoke to Bo and he was like, no, yeah, you're right. It's not done yet. I felt the same way. We'll get it done. I was excited again. Like I
Yeah,
love the
man.
challenge of music, but I need my people there.
Well, we're all being conditioned to believe that that, like, obviously everything we need is within us, but you need the strength of community to raise everything up. Like,
Yeah.
you need, people need family, people need forever. We've needed each other. If I can't do something, there's someone who can do that better than me. So I'm going to go to them to get that skill or learn from them. But with this sort of divisive world we're living in, we're being sort of forced to feel like, even me, like I'm like, oh, I should be able to make the whole song on my own and produce it and mix it and master it and do the artwork and promote it and have a podcast because, that's what people do now. Whereas I've just read this book on souls and it's pretty far out, but I'm with it. And they say in the soul world to raise enough energy to create stuff as powerful as stars, they need to work together as a collective of souls, a collective consciousness, and it makes the work possible. Not even like easier, possible. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And if you're drawn towards a specific person at a specific moment, and that you let them into your life and you let them help you, the job that you're trying to achieve becomes almost manageable and they'll inspire it. So we need to like stop thinking that we have everything we should be able to do everything. There's no failure in using our friends and our community. And that's something I just keep thinking, like whether it's my band, we're so much more powerful as a group than we are on our own. And there's alchemy in that. There's something that when our two spirits mix together, we make something more powerful than double what either of us could have made. And you're right, sharing that fear, because you've also got a work flow now. There's a way an Idols album comes together, and there's a way you like to do your lyrics. So stepping off the edge when you're like, actually, this didn't go right this time, or also returning to, I'm really reluctant to return to anywhere we've made music before because I feel like I want to harness new energy. And there's memories and there's like echoes of things you've done before in the places you make before. And sometimes you need to like go on to that next bit and find that next place and that fear that you won't do it again. But essentially, being honest and like opening up to your loved ones never feels bad at the end, even if it's hard to do.
Mm.
But talking about feeling the same things at the same time, I don't think that's a coincidence either. I think when you're in similar cycles and you're on a similar journey, like the collective consciousness is so strong. And I've only started realizing this recently. Weirdly, I was listening to another podcast you did, and we've kind of, again, weirdly set ourselves the same task this year. I want to read 12 books, and I've been reading like fiction, non-fiction, self-help, blah, blah, blah. And I
Yeah,
heard you're doing the same thing. And
yeah.
I've read a Little Life, which is a brutal book, and that's a heavy one. But in this journey, I've been reading a lot of like, every other month I'll read about spirituality, and I'm just reading about like, I'm reading a Buddhist book, and it's taken a build up to get to that level of spirituality.
Mm.
And just it's making me sort of realize there's no real accident in how intertwined we are with each other and with the power of the group consciousness. I've started to notice if I just look at situations differently, like in my family, for instance, when we are all stoked and like we're doing our kitchen discos in the evening, you can raise each other's vibrations up. And that was the power of like making certain songs. I heard you talk about Danny Nadelko the other day, and like that moment in the crowd, like you're saying, rally the troops, and isn't that's a specific one about your friends?
Mm.
That's what I'm after. And I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna fucking next Thursday, me and my mates, we're gonna go for a picnic. I'm gonna text everyone, and whoever turns up, whether it's just me and my crew or everyone, it's gonna be sick. And there was something about that moment and that intention where nearly every single person I've asked is like, yeah, I'm coming. And I'm like, whoa, we never do this.
Yeah.
There's something in it. If you want to believe in that alchemy of life, and it still doesn't mean it's not fucking hard because it's always fucking hard,
Mm.
but there's a real power in taking that sort of ownership over it.
Mm. Yeah, a collective consciousness thing as well. It's like I've always tried to like I think that like it ties in with what you're saying about honesty, because like I don't know, like it just feels like there's a sense of if people wanted to kind of like I don't know, like not absorb what you're saying in terms of spirituality. You see, on a pragmatic level, all you got to do is look at the way people are reacting toward like fucking a bunch of like dudes talking about like alpha male, like lone wolf shit. So no one realizes there's no such thing as an alpha wolf, and if there was, there'd be one. There can only be
Mm.
one. There can only be one Joe Rogan. I'm not even, but like they work in packs. Wolves work in packs, and like I think like the reason why there's so much, um, it's that thing. Disillusionment comes from disenfranchisement. When you feel like you are the imposter, you are the one who's not invited to the party, and I think this window stuff is like makes people feel isolated, and it makes people feel dislocated from a sense of togetherness, and we all have a collective consciousness. And I think a lot of people, I really benefited from lockdown. I'm not gonna lie, as an individual, not as a business, but like it really did me some good to like heal basically. Um, but I came out of it and I sensed, especially touring the world, um, where it was like, oh, there's some seriously mass healing going on, and that energy
Mm.
is there. And yeah, I think it's like I don't think it should ever be underestimated how much people are still on a mass level healing.
Yeah. I've got a more sort of not practical, but I've got a question I want to ask you then, based on like based on being a musician and with all of this, I think the stuff that I struggle with, that I think maybe some others may struggle with staring into their phones, is this idea of accepting yourself. Like obviously you say love yourself in a song, but then to actually do that is fucking hard. And the thing that I've noticed recently is like 1 week I can look in the mirror and be like, I love the way I look this week. I'm so stoked. And then in the next week, I'm staring at my reflection and all my clothes are shit and everything's shit. And I'm in like that state of hell. And then this relates to being creative. Like, can you remember a point where you found your voice in the band? And like, when did you always, was it like an act of aggression where you were like, fuck this, I'm taking the microphone and I'm going to say something, and it almost come as a confrontation? Or was there a moment on your journey where you started believing in yourself as the front man or even the singer? Like, how does that come?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pragmatic thing, like you got to remember that you're one, but your body, you can like, when you look in the mirror and you feel ugly, just be like, hey, you're not feeling confident at the moment. You are the same person you were yesterday when you felt great. Stop looking in the mirror. Put something on that
Mm-hmm.
feels fucking good. Wear something that feels good. Get that like Hermes necktie on that you spent a lot of money on. Do you know what I mean? Feel like, but like work around it. Be like you got to be your own cheerleader sometimes, which is about
Mm-hmm.
spirit. But then if the spirit's a bit bleak because you're having a rough time, then then you go into pragmatic mode and be like, all right, then you're gonna like turn the fucking mirror down, take the mirror off the wall, and go and eat some good food, and just go and hang out with
Mm-hmm.
someone who like has a good conversation in them. Go back to your mind or whatever, and you can do the same with creative thinking. Like the thing is, my journey, and this is what the podcast is really about. The gatekeeper part of it is that I was doing a lot of like Q&As. Do you know what I mean? And like giving advice. And one of the problems I found with it is like I'm giving you advice based on my experience. My experience is
Mm-hmm.
very, very fucking um
It's relative.
it's relative to me, yeah. And like, if my mum wasn't fucking seriously ill, I wouldn't have had that like darkness in me, that violence in me from the age of 16 where I just fucking went out and lost my mind and did a lot of messed up shit. So I don't know how much of that darkness comes from, but I always look at gratitude. So I always just see my path as like, I'm really lucky to be where I am. The bad shit that happened has made me stronger and also given me a perspective of gratitude that my friends who haven't fucking been in really, really dark places have a grasp on, especially as touring musicians and things like that. And even our trajectory, slow trajectory up. We like people think we just got big, really quick. It's like, nah, we were touring a long time before anyone turned up, or like big numbers, and that helped us because when we weren't sleeping in a van under a bin liner, and we're in a travel lodge, we're like, we're sharing a room in a travel lodge. This is sick. Not, oh, we've got to share a room. Do you know what I mean? There was never that mindset.
So, so you know that moment when obviously Big Jeff was like, "You're getting better."
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment in your mind where before that you had self-doubt and you were like, "Should I be on stage?"
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I never, nah, I was always super confident with it. I knew I wasn't
Mm.
good though. This is the thing. Like, people find it hard to be like, "Yeah, that wasn't great." I'm like, tell me it wasn't great. I'm cool with that. When people, it's when people slag you off in the press or whatever, and they tell you what you are and aren't doing, which is a
Mm.
fucking lie, then I'm like, that's bullshit. But they're like, I don't like the music. I think it's crap. Great. When it's like some weird, there was a Guardian article saying what I should have said lyrically in Never Fight a Man with a Perm because it was like, no, you just didn't grow up in Exeter. That's what it was actually fucking like. I
Yeah.
had mates
So
who were like,
you were always self-aware. You were just
yeah,
like you're
but
conscious
like,
of it. And I think, yeah, that's my struggle. I feel like I'm a bit younger than you as well. Am I younger than you?
yeah, yeah, you're definitely younger than me.
Like, I obviously had this experience with my dad when I was 16 that he had like a life-altering stroke. So that was the darkness for me. And I realized through years of unpicking it in therapy that this trajectory, tunnel vision of like, I'm going to be a success, I'm going to play guitar in a band, fuck you, was a
Mm,
defense mechanism. So there was no doubt because the only thing Valhalla and like success lied in achieving this goal. And that was a beautiful thing because it was the kryptonite, the motivation, the strength I needed, but it was also wrapped up in fear and anger and an avoidance to actually look at my grief. But I wouldn't swap it for anything because it gave me the strength and the character to push harder than I was. And I say this loads to people, like there were probably 30 guitarists in my town growing up, and I was probably the 29th best, as
mm,
in like at the bottom of the scale,
mm.
but it never had anything to do with that. And still now, like my knowledge of the instrument is so minimal, and like that's the thing I'm thinking about now. Whereas I want to transition into making a record where I'm like singing or talking, but I've
Mm,
got a 32-year-old's brain now, not a traumatized 16-year-old.
mm,
And to bring back some of that self-belief because it's not about it's about you doing it for you and you going on that stage.
mm.
I was going to get on that stage regardless of if anyone turned up or not. And then that's what made it believable. And that's what made people come to our shows. And then also to watch and not understand why we were losing it and then to get it back. That's an incredible thing to develop self-awareness mid-career.
Well, I mean, better to learn as you go, I think, especially because it's more on it. That's the journey, isn't it? If you're learning on the job, it's an honest transition and you're constantly evolving on record. And you're like, I think self-awareness is like that thing. I think there's a misconception about playing to an audience. It's like you can't ignore your audience.
Yeah.
It's important to be your audience. You are changing and evolving as you go along, and you're putting your fears and your honest narrative out there as a mirror to the audience. They are the mirror. They look at themselves, they see themselves in your songs.
And
But
that is like everyone is a mirror of ourselves. That is just a
yeah,
simple, yeah.
yeah. Right. How would you describe your creative language?
Wow. Creative language. You've got me stumped on question one. It's chaotic. My creative language is chaos. It's untrained, unmanaged mess. Like it spurts from my brain like crazy impulses. But as I grow, I realize that I am the master of those impulses, and the impulses come when I do good shit and I eat good stuff and I treat myself well. But
Mm,
I've got this well that once I access it is like it's overwhelmingly bursting with chaos. And I'm so untrained that I accidentally wrote a song in 6/4 recently, or a 6/4 drum beat over a 4/4 guitar part.
sick.
It's chaos and it's like a raw, it's a raw, crude oil. Like it's just there, and I'm very I want to play you what I mean, and I want to sing it to you, and I want to like tap it on your leg, or I want to draw it for you. It's primitive and it's raw.
Mm, great. That actually is interesting. I would say that of you. One of the things I found about you, especially when I've got one of your I want to say leopard. Is it a leopard? It's
Yeah, or a
a male
cheetah. It's some form
cheetah.
of big
Cheetah.
cat.
Um, but like your paint, I love your paintings, and like it's an interesting transition. You and Isaac went separately, like for a bit. You did your own music to try and cultivate your own language, right?
Yeah,
And I know what I loved about it with your paintings and with your music and with Isaac's music was there was a similarity there. There's a playfulness, there's a tenderness and a youthfulness to your narratives, both of you,
mm,
I think. And it was interesting how different it was from Slaves and from
yeah,
SoftPlay. At the time it was Slaves, but now SoftPlay. It was like I was like, this is interesting because they've both gone away and done something not like the same, but similar. It was definitely had a similar energy. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
And like, but what I get from you is that sense of combustion. Like you make things, your paintings are very explosive and very youthful. Not naive, but like there's a playfulness in your music and your art. And it's cool. It's an interesting thing. So this brings me on to the next question. How much of your upbringing remains in your creative language? How much of your young spirit remains in your language
ah.
from your childhood?
So my upbringing was fortunate, and fortunate in supported. Like I got bought guitars, and I was given the tools to express myself, which is one of the biggest problems that working class people are facing now. Is that even me having the ability to have a guitar teacher was middle class blessing. So
Mm,
that remains. I'll be honest in my creativity because I can afford myself creativity. I've got the tools that I can go to my garden shed and make music as loud as I want. But the thing that still exists, that has always existed, is this frenetic, unapologetic, unsort of bound manicness that I'll just go and write a full song right now, 2 hours, and then I'll be like, cool, is that done? And it can spark from anywhere. And I'm very playful, like, that's why I went back and started learning jiu-jitsu because I always wanted a brother and I never had that. So I want to go and wrestle with full-grown men and chat shit and then go hang out with people, run around the fields with my kids, play football, whatever. And that obviously comes out in the way that I create. I don't limit myself to stuff. I've tried to give myself labels in the past due to pressure of how I feel everyone else is, or try and appear more serious or like other people. But
mm,
I might just decide that I like last year I had a mini phase of gardening and planting bulbs and making. So my creative process sort of language just stems out into everything. Like I love cooking and it's bold and it's spicy and it's every too much salt. That's my vibe.
yeah.
It's big.
Oh, mm. It is. That's cool. It's like a confidence to make mistakes and explore as well. I think it's really important as a parent that just as we come in, I remember like when I came around to your gaff many years ago now, different gaff. Your boy was fucking smashing up the drums, and I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, it was your gaff, yeah. And you were like, yeah, I was just like, that's that thing, giving your kids that like confidence, that I've been learning. Well, I say I've been learning. It's been 6 years now, but like thing of like what you need to kind of what's the word congratulate them on is the effort they make rather than
Mm.
oh what oh wow you got 8 out of 10, that's amazing. Just be like, it looks like you made a real effort there, that's insane, that's so sick, you really tried, that's so cool, even
Yeah.
good or bad, if they're trying, that's sick. And I think
So,
like
so my
yeah.
my eldest, my son Bart, he's like creating this comic book series at the moment, and I definitely say like he goes to a Steiner school, which is a blessing,
Mm,
and that school's taught me so much already about the I never realized it before, but like what we do in bands is this like long process and it's delayed gratification from the moment we start to the moment we release an album or play a gig. So we're always giving ourselves these future goals and we're developing stuff slowly, but we live in a really like immediate society that wants everything now. Like there's no long projects. And what's amazing with Bart is he's got this ability that I didn't have as a child where he's making a whole series of comic books, and this has been going on for like 4 months, and he just returns every day, chips away at it,
Wow.
and he'll come to you and he'll be like, "Do you think I should draw this or draw this?" And I say, "What do you think?" And putting the question back on himself because what I've lost over the last 10 years that I'm slowly reclaiming for myself is that you've got to want to see it and you've got to want to make it. It's so easy to go and look at or see a band at a festival and go, fuck, that has set me on fire. And then you
Yeah.
try and copy it. And sometimes that works and you come out with a bastard child that sounds similar but different enough. But actually, people want to know you. And what was so great about Slaves in the beginning is that people were like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, we'll never play on a stage. And it was completely pure of heart.
Mm.
And that's what I'm trying to get back to because I keep seeing all these artists blow up overnight and be streaming on TikTok, and it's distracting. It's like a little fly buzzing in my ear. All the record labels keep dropping that TikTok reference to you. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
just want to make what music is in my soul, what art is in my soul. And that's what I'm trying to get back to. And I see it in my kids and I'm encouraging it. So I'm trying to learn from them as well.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, fuck. It's like it's a weird one. Like becoming a parent and like this, there's a lot of like ADHD chat and that. And I'm not really like interested in a diagnosis or anything. I did a couple of online tests, like 97% sure you're a good ADHD or whatever. So,
I feel the same.
but like, but that's not really what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is this idea of like, hold on, how the fuck did I get through school and university and get like a 2-1 at uni? Also discovering music, drugs, DJing, like all this stuff. I'm like, I have got no attention span, and it must have been way worse when I was a kid. But there's that thing that people say is like you know your whatever is a superpower, and it's like what I am focused on, what I hyper focus on, what I'm in love with, what gives me purpose, and all these things. It's so like is what I am as a musician and an artist. That's everything that I am. All the stuff that I couldn't concentrate on, maths, science, or whatever. Like now, I'm like, when we're in a studio and there's like they're talking about all the like racks and stuff. I'm like, to
Mm,
make this sound better. Obviously I know what an overdrive is, and I know I'm like, just fuck around with it. I don't care what it, I don't know
doesn't
how it
interest you.
works.
Me either.
It won't help me. In fact, I'll not understand it as an instrument if I understand how the mechanics of it. I've got a prophet right next to me now. I'm like, I'm just going through the pretext until something sounds sick with the beat I'm making. I'm not
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna just maybe some more oscillation on that one actually. I'm just like, yeah, I'll just do
Well,
that one and then make it sound weirder.
I bought like a really expensive Telefunken mic for my studio. And
Nice.
then I was like, Isaac records all our albums on an SM58. Like he doesn't want to use one of them. And I'm like, so this like 60 quid mic is like has made records and this £1,000 mic has made records. Like, so they
Mm.
should both be able to do it. And in the end, I've basically said, fuck the Telefunken. I'm going to make myself sound good on the SM58 before I even go to that and learn how to do that. And it's the same as you had to learn a riff on a Squier Stratocaster first. There's a process of learning and getting better,
Mm.
and as many interfaces. And at the end of the day, we want music to feel good from its original form. And
Yeah.
then synths and stuff can be beautiful afterwards. But
Yeah.
can you sing it whilst clapping? That is the like nirvana I'm searching for.
Whoa, that's a really good fucking way of looking at it. Can you sing it while clapping? Does
Do you
it
know
feel?
that tune? You know
Like,
that tune that's like, my grandma and your grandma sitting by the fire.
yeah.
My grandma told your grand. You're like, yeah, you've won the game there.
All right. Well, that's gonna help me write the last three songs on this album that we're still working on.
Clapping only.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'll talk to you about it afterwards or another time. Um, right. Or all right, good one. Do you believe in genius?
Yes, and yes, I wanna like almost say no, but yeah, I do. Like there are people. So here's what I'm gonna say in my experience of genius, it exists. And some people, but the mistake people make, and the mistake that I've been lured into, is that it exists out of nowhere. I'm yet to meet a genius that hasn't hustled to be who they are, but I have met geniuses who pretend they've not tried, and that's a lie. So I used to believe that people had an innate ability to do things. And I think there will be people along the way that you meet that seem to have that. But
Mm,
what you don't see is the hours or their backstory of them in their bedroom. Or it might not even be them, but it might be their parents showing them abstract poetry from a young age. That's the bit that you're unaware of, but you just see this polished thing. And I remember seeing people at house parties carry their guitar on their back and play these amazing songs. And I would just be like, wow, that's incredible, and feel really inferior. But in reality, they were just further down their journey than I was. And
mm,
I felt like I had to start from a lot. They had a running start and I didn't. So we can cultivate genius and we all have our own form of genius. But also, this is interesting in me trying to find a voice because I want to reflect back to what you said about our side projects. And with Isaac, Isaac's always made music very for an intentional, pure purpose. He makes what he wants to hear and what he wants to say, and he has the confidence to do that.
mm,
With my side project, I was like, what kind of music would be good on streaming? And could I make music that I wouldn't have to tour? So I feel like my intention was half negative. It wasn't an empowering move. So with
mm,
this new side project I'm working on, I want to eliminate that and I want to be like, what is my voice and what music do I make? And basically, you need to cultivate those feelings. And I've now lost my trail of thought. But yeah, I have met geniuses, but there's always a reason.
mm. There's always a work behind it because
Sorry,
there's
that's
a
what I lost. I was just saying the bit I've lost is that someone turned around to me when I'm having these sort of like crisis of confidence. Like my personality, I am not bipolar, but my personality could be described like that. I'm like a yo-yo. I'm literally flying high 1 minute and down the next second, like repeatedly. Like I'm a puppy dog that's pissing off my family and my partner, but that's also what makes me great. And so I have that vibrating moment when I finish a painting, but sometimes by the time I get home, I'm like, this is shit and I'm going to burn it. Um, and so that's something I'm trying to level out by using different practices and being sitting with those uncomfortable feelings. But the voice thing that I kept going back and forth on with my friend, he was like, mate, every amazing singer you've ever heard has their own voice. And the ones that aren't amazing are the ones that are just trying to replicate, or the ones that are middle of the road, they're just trying to replicate the one that came before. You
mm,
don't know your voice is amazing until it's too late. Like and then you look at people like Tom York and you like listen to Weird Fishes or whatever, and it's like the driest vocal, and he's singing these. If you sat him as a 12-year-old boy and Weird Fishes was his first song and he played it semi badly, there's a good chance that all of his mates would go, that was fucking shit, because that's what boys were like
mm-hmm.
or people were like. So there is an element of learning to believe in yourself that is almost like on this soul journey thing I'm talking about, that you've been given your voice by a higher purpose. So you've got to stay true to your voice. And then that's the journey. Can you commit to your own voice and not just try and be a copy of someone else? And then I believe that's where the rewards lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think that question you asked me earlier about finding my voice, being confident, when did it happen? It was like, I couldn't sing, so I'd get mad pissed every practice to get the confidence to go to the microphone, and then I'd be like, and then like one day it was like Sleaford Mods and there's a couple of other bands. There's a Bristol band as well, where it's like it just like you don't. It's what you're singing about. It's the pain that I was in. I don't need to fucking. I don't need to worry about singing. I need to get this out. Like my life
And
situation wasn't gonna change unless I fucking got out there and changed it. I needed to sing about it to heal. And that's what brutalism became. Was like, I got to build this headstone and I've got to build this house to house all this grief and violence and anger that I had inside me. So I did. So
and
like,
then your voice opened up.
and like now I'm singing and like I'm singing about the same stuff. My lyrics, I think, are improving because I'm working on them and I'm working on them honestly. I'm not forcing them to change. I'm just like allowing the poetry, which I think I'm writing now, um, to just come out. It's like, oh, that sounds a bit like contrived. And it's like, yeah, you're writing a song, you bellend. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
contrived. You are trying to cultivate, you're trying to get your ideas and your life and your experiences out there. So just let it go. And then if it feels afterwards contrived, not while you're doing it, but afterwards, if it feels like then you're like it's dishonest, then fuck it off.
And if
But
it didn't feel slightly uncomfortable, you wouldn't be alive.
exactly. I mean, feeling uncomfortable. When's the last time you felt uncomfortable with like making?
Oh, every day. And I've had to, the thing that I'm practicing recently, so like my biggest, like if we want to get therapy on this, my biggest personal trait is like feeling I want to help my immediate friends and family not be uncomfortable because I can't stand them being uncomfortable. So it makes my skin crawl. So I'm constantly thinking that I've done something wrong or that I'm the problem when actually my partner is allowed to be pissed off and it doesn't have to have anything to do with me. But
Mm,
me being able to sit there is like, I feel like it's like black fingernails down a blackboard. So I have to put so much work into being like, it's okay, Laurie, give her that space. They deserve, and then vice versa, like to take permission for me to feel pissed off and just be pissed off. I like over intellectualize it and I try and dig my way out all the time rather than just sit with it. And that's a really useful thing about writing songs is just write it, just finish it.
yeah.
Maybe it sounds shit and then maybe you'll never release it. But if you don't finish that one, you've missed a step to get to the next one. And
Mm,
it's a craft and it's something you have to practice. So I often like I'm in a studio that's pretty much soundproof on my own, and the reflection of me holding an SM58, which is like the handheld classic microphone for anyone that's not tech, is like, who do you think you are? Do you think you're a singer? And all those voices come in, and I'm on my own, but that is when it's even louder, where I'm like, you can't. And sometimes I have to go right back to my safe space, my guitar, my bass, find the groove, and then I've just had to like make a practice. I started a diary on January the 1st, and I was like, just start writing. I've never written in my life. I've always just tried to then implement writing at the last minute to try and write a song. And I'm
mm,
like, if you're not physically writing, how can you ever get good at writing? And I put no pressure on it, just apart from do something every day. And I'll write, maybe sometimes it'll be like, good day. And then sometimes it'll be 3 pages of feels. Sometimes it will be like random conscious thought. And this
mm,
amazing thing happened about 2 months in. It was like my mind cracked open and I
mm,
went, oh, words, they're everywhere. You just have to like say what you see. And I'd
mm.
never realized that before. And I was like, cool. So now I need to look from my perspective,
Yeah.
and there's value in that. And I've forgotten your question.
That's really exciting. This about what we were talking about is basically what you're just talking about there, which is finding um your way of expressing yourself by being uncomfortable. Because if
Yeah.
one of the things, see, I suffered from jealousy real bad. I have this thing called something like attachment dysmorphia or something. Like I feel really betrayed by like family or friends or girlfriends if they like meet up with someone else and don't invite me or something lame like that. But when I read about it and I've realized I do it all the time, I'm like, okay. So I spoke to my therapist about it and I'm like, talking about jealousy, and he's like, "Well, do you say anything about it?" No, like I just. But what I will do is like stonewall, or like just fucking. I'll be a prick
No
because
communication.
being an asshole or like saying cunty things instead of just being like, "Oh, do you know what? I'm just really jealous. I'm sorry. I'm just being a knob," and then laughing it off. It's really embarrassing in your head. You say it, and they're like, "That's all right. I get it. It's cool."
Yeah.
Just like, like, I'm sorry, I need to get this out of my head. I feel a bit like whatever. It's so hard.
Well, I'm
Being honest with your feelings is fucking hard, but the reward is massive. And if you
I
do that in art and music, you're fucking flying.
I think it's all linked. So when we can get all of our things moving, whether it's like how we're eating, how we're sleeping, all of
Yeah.
it,
Mm.
all our relationships, when it all gets moving, it's this beautiful, like everything feels good. It can be a bit high, but I've
Mm.
almost got like this, like some people like to look when the gore's coming on TV, like they can't look away. It's like, oh, it's horrible, but I'm gonna look. I'm a
Mm.
bit like that, and I'm still struggling and I'm practicing developing a language where like sometimes I've got so addicted to saying how I'm feeling that I'm like, this isn't the moment for it. But I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen if I keep sharing? It's like this. It's like whoa, like the world's so. I'm just saying, and it's the same with singing songs. But
Mm.
I might say to my partner, like, I know that we need to talk about something you're saying, but I just need
Mm.
to tell you that right now, my mind is like almost telling me to be a cunt to you because I can't deal with it,
Yeah,
and it offers these mental absolute things that happen in real life,
yeah,
and it can cause conversations to go on for way longer than they need to. But you just reminded me that voice in my head in the studio, the beat's running, and I'm like, you've got nothing to say, you're shit. And then I start doing it, and I scroll through my notes or my diary, and I find something, and I don't commit to it, and it's shit. And then if you go back harder and you go, right, this is what I want to say, or even if you just start making sounds, all
mm,
of a sudden it opens up. Like I just wrote this song where I'm shouting and I've always wanted to shout, but it's such a loud, it takes up so much space shouting that
mm,
it feels the loudest echo back. You're stood there going, what am I doing?
yeah, yeah. And I it's a weird one. Like that's it. I think it's a great piece of advice for people listening. It's like, like just imagine like music, painting, even if you like, say, take it away from singing, because singing's like a voice. Well, like what Laurie's talking about is obviously writing things down. You can paint whatever it is, putting something to paper, drawing a self-portrait. When it comes to this thing where it's like, you know, you when you're 7, no, I think it's a bit older, maybe 8 or 9, you start to feel a sense of shame behind you picture a cow, you draw the cow you draw doesn't look like the picture it is in your head.
My
And
son literally said that today.
yeah, and how old is he?
He's 8.
Exactly. Before that, you had these kids and they're all little Picassos and they're fucking unbelievable. As soon as self-awareness or self-shaming, really, it's this sense of self-correcting. There's this thing that you do that basically becomes you're an imposter, you're not good enough, all the crap voices that come in your head. You build up until you just stop creating. Because that
Exactly.
way you're not gonna embarrass yourself, you're not gonna shock yourself, you're not gonna hurt anyone, and no one's gonna laugh at you because you're not drawing any fucking cows. You're just going to work and then coming home and watching TV or looking at your phone.
And that analogy spreads to everything. So it's like if you out of nowhere go, I'm going to run a marathon, someone will go, have you ever done that before? And you go, no. And they're like, well, it's really hard. And you're like, okay, yeah. And they're like, what should I do? Well, you got to train. Like, no one expects you to just be able to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So going back to genius, Like, why do people expect that someone should just have all the answers straight away? And it's you see it in children and you see it in adults and you suppress. And
Mm,
that's why the thing that I have found the most helpful thing in my life of the past 5 years is just fucking go and try a hobby. There's
mm.
something that not everyone has this. I'm really lucky. Like a few years ago, I was like, I want to do skateboarding. So I spent 2 years obsessing over skateboarding, and there's no career goal in that. I'm not going to be pro. And then I've swapped to martial arts, and I'm like doing something that has
Can I just
nothing to,
can I just interrupt?
yeah.
Which you get more injuries with for the listeners at home? Skateboarding or jujitsu?
Do you know what? I'd say it's pretty equal.
Oh, fuck me.
And it comes from you. So like how far I think the thing I was really lucky this weekend. I got to meet Jimmy Wilkins, the vert skater, and I was talking to him about injuries, and I was like, do you know the thing that I've noticed, which I didn't have 4 years ago, and I now have it on the mats? There's like a guide or like if you were religious, you could say angel, you could call it intuition. There's
Mm,
that feeling, maybe you have it on bike rides where you're like, I'm fucked, and but maybe I want to do another 10 miles and I'm just going to do it.
mm,
Sometimes there's a voice going, don't fucking do that. Or sometimes you get a flat tire at that moment, and your choice is whether to listen to that or to push through it.
mm.
I've noticed if I'm tuned into that feeling, there's something telling me when to stop. And on skateboarding, every time I hurt myself is when I didn't listen to it. And the same at jujitsu. There's sometimes it finishes and you haven't got enough energy out and you want to keep fighting and you're so gassed up. But I'm like the session has ended for a reason. I'm being like protected. So my injuries have only come from me ignoring that feeling at the back of your head that's going, or your heart that's
Mm.
going, something could happen here. It's the same on stage. There's like these invisible forces that like when you feel into them and you listen to them, beautiful things happen. But if you ignore them and you decide to like step across the line into aggression or I don't know, whatever it is, there's something there. There's something looking after us if we choose to feel into it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel that.
Because
Where
you
we,
could go in the boxing gym and pick the biggest guy and go, I want to spar him, and he's going to break your nose.
yeah, yeah. I think it's like that thing of self-preservation is learning, right? So like
Hmm.
I was explaining this to my kid this morning. She was talking about something that scared her. And I said, well, there's nothing wrong with being scared. Being scared means you're smart because you're learning how to stop yourself from getting hurt or killed. Bush. That means one day I won't have to be there the whole time when you're having fun with your mates. She's like, yeah. Or when you're walking through the woods or whatever. I was like, there's fear is but like there's a point where fear taps into your expression. My daughter would never she one of the things in parents evening we got the other night was that they were like she was never embarrassed or worried about saying she doesn't understand. She's the first to stick around and be like, I don't get what you're saying, can you explain that again? And I'm like, sick, that's what I want. I
Amazing.
want my kid to have the confidence to be like, I don't, what are you talking about? I need to understand that, or I want to understand it. What you're talking about? Or like she'll come up with ideas and she gets involved in adult conversations and she's not laughed at. She's not like or told to shut up, obviously. I mean, it's not the 50s, but like she's encouraged. And I think like that we need to do that to ourselves again, which is why I'm interested in how old, the idea of sustaining a sense of youthfulness in our creative language, because I think we lose that over time. And then what we need to do is just encourage ourselves. You don't need to draw the cow. You don't even need to draw a bad cow.
Mm-mm.
You need to get a nice pen that you like or an SM58 and then just tell people you're an artist. Just don't need to draw anything. Just say, oh yeah, no, I'm a painter at the moment. I'm painting now. And that's
That's
how
the
it
act
was
of
done.
defiance, isn't it?
Exactly. Or like, it's that Atomic Habits book where one of the things is like, just put your running shoes by the door. That's the first step. You don't need to put them on. Just chill. Just
Yeah,
little atomic changes. Just put them by the door. Tell
yeah.
people you're running and start. But little, don't put yourself off, beat yourself up for not being Picasso or fucking, I don't know any runners.
Exactly. And I'm like, with this music thing, it's sort of this side project has spun out of this like weird gap of time I found myself in. And it was actually an old friend I connected with. And there was a voice in the back of my, and he's an amazing drummer. He was the singer in a band called Ladybird that we put out on our label.
That's fucking
Um,
crazy. I was just talking about them yesterday.
There you
Anyway,
go. See, everything's interlocked, man.
yeah.
Um, and I'd been hanging out with him and just like spending time together. And this voice in the back of my head just kept going, show him that demo of that song you wrote a few years ago that just exists on its own. And I
Yeah.
sent it to him just like sort of impulsively. And he was like, yep. He's like, let's do it. Let's just jam it. And then from that encouragement of having another human believe in me, it
Mm,
sent me down the path to pursue it even further. And I don't know if you feel that from your bandmates, but that's what I got from Isaac. Like nobody wanted to be in a punk band.
mm,
And at that time, it was indie rock and dubstep or like metal core or whatever, emo.
mm,
The sort of scrappy punk thing hadn't emerged in such a big way like it did now. So it actually genuinely felt quite different at the
mm.
time, even though I know it's not. And that sense of community I found within one person, I couldn't have done it without Isaac, and he couldn't have done it without me.
Mm.
And that made me realize, like, rather than gatekeeping your own art and not showing people, I took it to someone and I took a leap of faith, and then they want to be involved. And then his courage in believing in me has built my courage up to then do more. And so I just keep writing. And it's like I'm doing it for that person to
Yeah.
have that relationship. And all I want to do is playing like bars because I've got my job and I've got my other thing. And I
Mm.
think that's really important to find your people as well. And Rick Rubin talks about this in that book, like the creative act, and so many things he says are things that I had thought but never found the words for.
Mm.
And it's all about that finding your unique voice and being yourself. Like, no, what we don't need another Arctic Monkeys, we don't need another Idols, we don't need any of it. We need you.
We need you. All right, here's a good one. How do you see your worth as an artist?
Yeah, that's something I've definitely battled with. And right now, I'd say the two things that like fill my cup as an artist more than anything,
Mm.
number one, the fans. Just the fact that something that I am part of draws such a huge reaction from such a massive amount of people, and that we can fill those venues up with people expressing that moment, and they buy our merch and they wear it. That is just mind-boggling to me. Something with such humble beginnings to, yeah, that will always blow my mind. And then my two sons like absolutely adore my band to the point of like it's a bit embarrassing because they want it on all the time
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
haven't actually tried to engineer it. It just happens that it's gone that way and it's so not appropriate for their age. But yeah, like so I don't sit and think about it often, but sometimes I will be like, wow, I'm making my sons proud just by them being into it and I'm like, wow, that's quite a overwhelming feeling.
Mm. It is. It's a funny one. I laughed because I was like, I knew you were gonna say that. Like Frida's like, play the dirty music, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
fuck's sake, I better put the windows up.
Or
Um,
if like they do it in public and they start like my kids can like recite most of Punk's Dead and you're like, oh, stop, stop. It looks like I've set them up to do it.
yeah, 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 like one of those soccer dads. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay, so that's how you see your worth. What about your purpose? What would you say if like what would you? It's kind of like how would you see your artistic obituary? Like, what is it you want to be remembered by as an artist? What do you want to give the world? What's your purpose as an artist? What do you want to give the world or give to yourself or whatever it is?
I think my biggest I don't know how it would be written on an obituary, but I know what I'd like is that I was unique and remembered for being unique. I don't want to be like he was the best guitarist ever. because that doesn't have any personality to me. When I think of guitarists, I think of like Slash and these people with larger than life. They're so, or Zach Wild or Tom Morello, they're so uniquely themselves that no one else can be them. And
Mm.
that's what I'd like. I'd like to be anywhere within a hair's breadth of being that unique that I stood alone in my own place. And that's one of the hardest things to stay committed to because it's really hard to remember that this isn't a race and we're not in competition and to not look at each other with that and actually to look with that equal admiration at your contemporaries. But
Mm.
yeah, I'd like to be in a place where nobody sounds like me on the guitar and nobody plays songs like me either.
How old do you feel when you perform?
18.
Beautiful. Why do you think that is?
It's the first number that shot into my brain, and I think it's because that's when I found myself performing in this band for the first time. Maybe I was 19, but basically finding that I think what we used to do was like a front. It was like aggression to be like, well, if you don't fucking like it, fuck you. And but it's actually served us so well. And now I return to those feelings every night with a
Mm.
sense of playfulness. And recently I'm more lost in the music than I've ever been. And also now I'm more accepting that if my conscience does flick on during a gig, that's fine too. But that 18-year-old, you just learnt to drive, you've got an ID so you can buy beer, freedom, like music gives me that feeling. And I always say to people not to forget. And for me, I say to myself, the biggest blessing about my job is that I can stand on stage and turn my amps up as loud as I can and no one tells me off.
Mm.
Something so simple, you don't get to do that in your house and you don't get to do that at your school. Like there was those instruments and those amplifiers, they were gate kept, like especially at school. Like you wait your turn, you do. Whereas I am the master of that stack of amps, and that is still embedded in my childhood and my youthfulness. So 18 is like the end of that, and that's where I think I need to be to do my job well.
Oh, here's one. Who is the best at doing what you do right now?
Man,
Um,
the best at doing what I do right now is like it's a two-way race between you and Fontaine's.
yeah.
But like I don't also think I only am saying it in the sense of it's alternative rock punk inspired music. I don't think anyone does what we do. But in
No.
terms of like let's put it this way, blokes that get on stage with guitars as their main instrument, it's
Mm.
Fontaines and Idols. You guys are the fucking goat emojis.
Okay, two more, right?
Hmm.
In the future, what would be your ideal self? How do you want this to pan out in your 70s, 80s, 60s, whenever? Just at a time when you're at peace and you've like, what is it you want to have achieved?
I wanna I want to deepen the grooves that I've started to settle and make this past few years of finding an awakening in all aspects of my life. So finally taking ownership of what I put in my body and what I do with my body and how I treat my relationships and how, like we talked about the mirror earlier, I finally stopped blaming everyone else and I know that it's coming from me. And my biggest goal is to try and step away from my biggest flaw is like anger towards others, and I wanna genuinely find a place of love for more people. I don't necessarily want to be everyone's best friend. That's not an achievable goal. But I want to learn more compassion. I want to stop fucking swearing at traffic attendants and having road rage. That would be good. But I want to
You get
double
road
down
rage.
on. I don't get road rage in the sense of I'm like a I am a you like for instance when there's when historically if there's an instance where like I'm an overconfident driver. I'm never dangerous. But if there's a point where like two cars, one of them could stop, I'm never stopping. I'm already halfway down the road whilst you're thinking. And it's not a side of myself I like. It's that's a battlefield where I'm trying to work out some ego problems. So yeah, I want to keep learning, but mainly just like double down on the love and for myself and for everyone else. And I want to keep finding this inner energy that has just come to me to like for self-improvement and just to yeah, be a better person. So basically more of the same, but visually I see myself living in the middle of nowhere in the forest, growing vegetables, practicing some form of meditation or spirituality, doing my jujitsu, spending time with kids, doing my job, making music. So it's a lot, it's hard work. How do you fit that all in?
Just got to drive safe, my man.
Exactly.
Right, one last. Oh fuck, one last question. That was great. I feel like I want to join you in the forest, though, man. I really need to find a house in the forest, bro.
Shinrin Yoku is forest bathing, isn't it, in Japanese?
Oh,
I I've just realized how uncomfortable I am around like crowded spaces. They don't make me feel safe and I act out and all of the shit I'm embarrassed about from my
mm,
past is just being in overwhelming social situations where I've used alcohol and drugs to try and like make myself feel better. And
mm.
I want to be able to enter those spaces consciously now rather than just be like sort of sleepwalking and going, fucking hell, I don't know what's happening, but I'm acting like a dick and hurting all the people I love. So like I know that like being in the forest and like having a safe space where I can invite the energy in that I want to see, yeah, that's gonna do me the best. And like, yeah, that's what I'm working towards.
Magic. Good on you. Final question. What's your death row dinner?
Oh
You
man,
got
do you remember that film Law Abiding Citizen?
law abiding citizen. The one with that big cunt from
Gerard,
Scotland.
is it Gerard Butler and Denzel Washington?
Yeah, I think I watched
I,
about half of it and then punched myself in the face for watching half of it. Go on.
Yeah, it's like it isn't great, but spoiler alert, but on death row he orders a T-bone steak so he can use the T-bone as a weapon to stab the guard. I thought that was so clever. But
Fuck me, you have got some inner rage, my man. Like you, T-bone
yeah,
steak.
meet
Yeah.
me on the mats.
Do you reckon? I wonder if that's. Do you know what? I know for a fact T-bone steak has been ordered on death row. There's an artist that did like visual photos, like set up their meals, like famous ones. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, Ted Bundy or whatever. But any one of them had a T-bone. So, but that's not what you'd order, right? Because you're not trying to escape.
No, I think oh, it's so hard, man. I love food so much, like passionately. Like that's one of the minor wins of every day is focusing on eating and cooking a good meal. Like that is you've won if you've done that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a whole podcast about this, isn't there, as well? You do the whole podcast talking about your thing. Anyway, yeah, but okay, for starter, my mind went to I fucking love like Brussels pate on like buttery toast with caramelized onion
Come on,
on
man.
it.
Come on.
Yeah, and then just because it's random, just switch up the vibe for my main. I've always gone between like Indian and Mexican, but I'm gonna go Indian, and I'm gonna have there's this curry that you can get where it's got like chicken tikka but lamb mince through it as well and an egg, like a keema curry.
Fuck.
Yeah. And then for my pudding, I think it'll be apple crumble with ice cream.
Not custard, bruv.
No, no, ice cream.
All right, so that's a
It's the hot and the cold.
Oh, you have cold ice cream. Yeah, because I'd have cold custard, you see. I don't like hot custard.
Ah.
Um, thanks very much, man. I really appreciate your time and your patience and your honesty.
Oh, we'll see you at your gig, yeah?
You mean your gig?
Well, I am pretty gassed. I know we shouldn't be competitive, but like that lineup is fucking insane. You've done it.
It's a
I
good
saw a
one.
lot of people scrambling to get the Friday tickets now.
Oh yeah, fucking A. It's gonna be magic. We
Big
can
day out.
we can have a couple, a Heineken and a Brooklyn, Heineken Zero and a Brooklyn. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, love you.
All right, brother. Love you. Have a great day.
Thank
Be
you so
good.
much, Laurie.